Richie in Queens, you're on with Willie and Dibby. What are you doing, Richie? Richie!
Hey, guys. Hey, it's always good talking to you guys.
You too.
And I normally call you every once in a while for the Giants, and I know you're talking football, but big time with the Giants. Big game tonight, and they're right back in it, so let's hope they can continue. I was a San Francisco Giants fan when they left. I think I told you that. And I rooted for the Niners, and I'm thinking as I'm waiting, the 70 49ers are one of my favorite teams. Charlie Kruger, I know you have Nunley, Wilcox, but Gene Washington, love Brody. So when the Giants weren't in it and they stunk back then, I kind of rooted for the Niners. And they were always up against Dallas.
Yep.
And but the one guy that I loved was Jimmy Johnson, Hall of Fame defensive back, who played with a cast one year. And obviously you didn't see them as much back then. You had to just pick your spots because they weren't on all the different channels like they are now. But I think the Niners are really going to be tough. And I watched them I'm in Pennsylvania now, so they absolutely dismantled the Steelers. Pittsburgh came in with high aspirations and this and that with Pickett, and it was meant against the boys. But, guys, the buzz over here about what's going on with our New York teams, it's so sad because the anticipation was supposed to be phenomenal with the Giants getting wiped out. And then the next day at the same stadium, what happened to Rodgers? So the air has just come out of the balloon, and it's just unbelievable how things have turned. And New York radio is just flaming with that right now.
I bet. And you have two of the highest priced baseball teams in the entire league, and both of them have flamed out in a massive way as well. Tough year in New York. I get it. Richie, thank you for the call. But as he's talking about the Niners being the team to beat, what pops to mind is what Grandy was texting both of us earlier. And I think that, and we'll explain it, Grandy, I share what you're feeling, but also I think we all know we got to guard against this. And essentially, without going into the details of it, the idea was...
If you want to go into the details, then Mark Grandy will be coming up next.
It's a very thoughtful text.
Very
Let's put
thorough.
It that way.
Very thorough.
Here's how I would whittle it down to one sentence.
Good luck.
The only thing that can stop this team is injury. And I don't know if that's true. And I know you got to guard against that feeling, especially after 1 week. But I totally get it. I can
boil it down into one sentence, too.
Okay.
Super Bowl or bust? Because he used that phrase in there, and I'm not saying that he believes that that's the case, but if you take injury out of it and you think that they have the best roster, top to bottom, 1 through 53, both sides of the ball, then it is Super Bowl or bust.
I guess you can look at it that way. I mean, I have questions about the other really good teams in the league. And what will that look like when we get to the end of the year? Who's at home? What do the Cowboys look like? What do the Eagles look like? What do the Lions look like? All of that stuff. And if you do get to the Super Bowl, who are you playing? Are you facing Mahomes? Whatnot? That's not to set up any excuses. I just mean this season getting back to the same place it's been the last few years. The 49ers in a very, very small handful of teams with a chance to win it all. Is there anything that can stop that other than injury? It's only been 1 week. I think it's way too early to say that, but what Mark was saying was that that's kind of how it feels, right? It feels that way.
Well, yeah, and my point about the Super Bowl or bust thing was the only thing that I feel like that can slow them down is if they have terrible injury luck, and at that point, that's no one's fault.
Right.
So, I think I agree with you. The Super Bowl or bust label is a little bit unfair, especially for this team this year, because you feel like if things break their way, they're going to have a fantastic chance. One of the only things that can slow them down is if they get injuries, and that's totally out of their control.
I get it, right?
Like but I will follow up with Mark's words, not you, Mark, but Mark Grandy.
Mark with a C.
Mark with a C, and the C
spelling.
is for clever, because he went on to say that Shanahan and Lynch deserve credit for putting together the most talented roster, but also for putting together a group that seems as unselfish as this one. So not only are they good, but they're unselfish. They defer payments to allow other guys to sign. They take less. They play together. They work together. Super Bowl or bust.
Well, here's something that started that conversation also. We got something else from Micah Parsons, okay, the Edge podcast through Bleacher Report. Listen to this, because a lot of us said it that day. Nick Bosa, a week ago tomorrow, signed. And some of us came in that day and went, good day for Micah Parsons. Micah noticed.
And I see a lot of people are saying, what does this mean for me? I am not Nick Bosa. I am not in Nick Bosa's shoes. I got to go out there and earn my own right to say I'm the best defensive player in the league. And some may say I am, but the humility in me and the fact is I have not won a Defensive Player of the Year yet. I have not been named the top defensive player in the league yet by my peers, so it's something that I'm going to have to go earn. Yes, I am talented. I am hungry enough to go get it, but the fact is I got to go get it myself. So, therefore, this means nothing, Nick Bosa's contract. I got to go out there and earn that right and hopefully follow suit one day to be on Nick Bosa's level and reach that tier that he has reached.
Okay, so first of all, I love the energy there from Micah Parsons. It's not easy for me to like a guy when he's wearing a cowboy helmet, but Micah's making a move. He's doing a little bit of a Mookie Betts thing right now. There's a little Mookie Betts going on here.
You love Mookie Betts.
Where I'm like, I hate your uniform, but I'm kind of digging you. I'm kind of digging you a little bit. I'm kind of digging Micah here. But the thought that popped to mind, Micah's doing a podcast. He does a whole segment about Purdy, does a whole segment about Bosa, he does a whole segment about Drake Jackson. And I'm like, dude, Micah, do you want to be a Niner? What's going on here? You're talking a lot about the 49ers. Maybe it's because they're the counterpart in the NFC. But I do look at this and think that while we focus on Shanahan and Lynch and the on-field product, take a moment to look at the off-field product. You just said a group of unselfish guys.
Yeah.
It's guys who all want to restructure their contract when they're asked. It's a free agent destination. Javon Hargrave goes, yep, I'm going there. Nick Bosa says, let's get this deal done. I want to be here. They have fostered a culture, and that is very different than what it was when they arrived. And in many ways, I think they have made the 49ers, if not the place to be, one of the places to be.
Yeah, and you saw that in the NBA with Steve Kerr and the Warriors, to where Kevin Durant wanted to go there, and David West and other free agents chose to go to Golden State because of exactly what you're describing, a culture of sharing the basketball and a place where it felt like you were going to be valued. And now the Niners have the same thing, where you've got Trent Williams and George Kittle reworking their deals to get enough room to, maybe be able to keep Brandon Ayuk when his big deal is coming up, and Nick Bosa signs and stays, and Javon Hargrave comes on over, and you don't see a lot of talented players looking to leave. Mike McGlinchey is a talented player who it was pretty clear they couldn't afford him.
Yep.
They couldn't afford him and everyone else, and he wasn't such a surefire slam dunk A-lister, because they said if they draft you and they like you and you're an A-lister, they're going to keep you. He was probably a B-lister, a B-plus lister, and ultimately they said goodbye to McGlinchey, and he got paid in Denver, and good for him. But other than that, you haven't seen a lot of people leaving this organization. It's attractive. They win. They've got a great organization. You have a Hall of Famer as your GM. You've got the boy genius as the head coach. Everything seems to be humming.
How many players in pro sports in recent years have scrubbed their social and then stayed?
And stayed, right. It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Usually the social scrub is a precursor for the departure.
Right.
You don't often see the scrub and stay.
Right.
So to speak.
Which is what Debo did last year.
Jordan Poole didn't scrub until he was gone.
Yeah.
But then he immediately scrubbed and unliked and unfollowed. Yeah, it's so stupid.
Bye. All right, Jason in Chicago, you're next up on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Jason, thanks for calling. What's up?
Hey, guys, what's up?
Yo.
All right, so the afternoon show had on Mike Martz talking about quarterbacks. And the hosts were, asking about how does Brock Purdy, a guy who was drafted in the 7th round, how is he able to do what he does? And Martz came back and said, well, he has the it factor. And he mentioned Brady, he mentioned Mahomes, he mentioned Kurt Warner. And they were asking, well, what is that it? And what they said was, or what he said was, is that Brock Purdy sees it before the snap and after the snap. He is so quick to decide. He is so decisive. He knows exactly where that ball is going. As soon as the ball is snapped, he has such a control over that offensive playbook that he just has it. It doesn't matter when you're drafted. It's just how you play.
It's exactly right. I mean, don't you think, Jason? And we were talking about it yesterday. Great athletes, and you can't see this when you look at them physically. Great athletes have an unbelievable knack for anticipation. It's almost like they can see things a little bit before they happen. The example I gave yesterday, and thank you, Jason, so much. The example I gave yesterday was Barry Bonds, and when a pitch is going to be delivered. And I believe that Barry has talked about this, but that Barry had an ability to pick up on the tiniest little things in a pitcher's motion to where, as he's about to release the ball, his body just knew how to react. Curveball, fastball, right? It's coming in high, it's coming in low. There's an unbelievable anticipation factor with a player like that. We're still so early in Brock Purdy's career, but I think you can see an aspect of that in his decision-making, his ability to know where people are going to be, what to do, when, the timing of all of it. It's very, very high level, and that's the part that I focus on when I talk about this being so much more than just him being in a good system with good teammates.
And he doesn't rely on athleticism to get the job done. Now, he is athletic, and he is accurate, and he has a good enough arm, and he is mobile enough. He's not incredibly fast, but he's quick. He has enough in terms of the physical attributes to complement what we've talked about before, and we spoke to the people at S2 Cognition, which is the testing and analysis firm that goes through and tries to quantify these intangibles, the ability to make quick decisions, the ability to see it and digest it in real time, and Brock Purdy's off the charts on that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I just think when you watch him play, one of the things I said yesterday, there were the Jimmy G comparisons. Oh, he's just right. He wins a lot. And he throws for 200 yards, and he's got all these great teammates. Feels and looks a lot like Jimmy G. It doesn't to me, and you can quantify that with numbers. Or one thing I like to do, you can play the home game on this. When you watch the game this weekend, when Brock drops back and he releases the ball, in that split second as it's flying through the air, you can't see where the ball's going. But check your own confidence that where that ball is going to be somewhere good. And my God, that feeling is totally different than the Garoppolo era, and that's coming from somebody who has bruises all over the body from defending Jimmy G for 5 years. This is better.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
It's definitely better, and when he does make a throw that is either not to the receiver or into a dangerous area, you catch yourself by surprise.
Yep.
Like, whoa, Brock.
Yep.
That wasn't a good throw, as opposed to the Jimmy no throw, which we've all come to associate with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons people remember the almost picks so much. Because Jimmy had everybody's got a bunch of almost picks. Yeah. Josh had 3 that weren't almost last night. He actually threw them. But we remember them because they surprised us. He came in for so long and threw the ball so consistently that when he's hitting a Seahawk or a Cowboy in the chest with a ball over the middle, we're like, whoa, and it jars you. And so it stays with you a little bit.
Yeah, and you don't really have that with Brock Purdy nearly as often.